There is a kind of pain you never believed you could experience. It appears when you are completely certain that you have found your twin flame. When every part of you recognizes that person as your counterpart. When the connection feels deeper than anything you have known before. And then they reject you. This is not an ordinary rejection, the kind you may have experienced in the past. It feels as though the universe briefly revealed something extraordinary and then abruptly took it away. It is as if your soul was dismissed by the one person who should have understood it without explanation. You begin asking yourself how this could happen. How can someone who seems like your ideal match not feel the same way? How can such an intense bond exist only on one side? Over time, this confusion leads you to question your own judgment. You wonder whether what you felt was real, or whether it was created by a deep longing for love. You begin doubting your own perception. But what if this rejection is not the end, but the beginning of something far more significant? What if the pain you are experiencing is the first indication that you are about to undergo a profound transformation? Carl Jung understood that not every meaningful soul encounter is meant to become a lasting union. Some exist to awaken awareness, others to bring healing, and some to force inner growth that would never occur through comfort alone. A twin flame's rejection may be one of the most important moments of your spiritual development, acting as the catalyst that shapes who you are meant to become in this lifetime. In this video, you will learn why this experience is happening, what it truly means when one soul recognizes another but chooses to walk away, and most importantly, the 5 stages that follow rejection and how each stage reshapes you in unexpected ways. What you are about to understand will change how you see this pain that currently feels meaningless, and if you stay until the end, you will uncover the insight that took Jung years to articulate. Why some of the most powerful connections in life arrive disguised as devastating rejection. Because perhaps you were not rejected by your twin flame at all. Perhaps you were chosen for something greater. Before examining what follows rejection, we must first clarify what the concept of a twin flame truly means through Carl Jung's perspective. The internet is filled with exaggerated interpretations that create confusion rather than clarity. What you need is not fantasy, but an honest explanation. Jung did not use the term twin flame directly, yet his work on anima and animus, synchronicity, and the individuation process offers a solid psychological framework for understanding these connections. From a Jungian perspective, a twin flame is not your missing half or someone meant to complete you emotionally. It is something far more complex and transformative. It is the person who carries a powerful projection of your anima or animus, the inner masculine or feminine presence within you. When you meet such a person, you are not simply falling in love. You are recognizing essential parts of yourself reflected in another. This explains why the recognition feels immediate and overwhelming, as though the bond existed long before this lifetime. What is rarely discussed is that twin flames are not meant to create lasting relationships in every case. Often, they serve the opposite purpose. They arrive to disrupt stability, challenge emotional comfort, and push growth that would never occur in an easy relationship. Jung observed that the most transformative human experiences often appear as deep suffering, and being rejected by a twin flame is one such experience. Rejection occurs because each person is at a different stage of individuation. While you may be ready to acknowledge and integrate this connection, the other person may still be facing unconscious fears, unresolved family dynamics, or a lack of emotional readiness to handle such intensity. This does not invalidate the connection. It simply means the timing is misaligned. Jung explained that when we project our anima or animus onto another person, we are encountering aspects of ourselves that remain unintegrated. Rejection may happen because the other person senses unconsciously that they are being loved as a projection rather than for who they truly are. Or they may not yet be capable of receiving this intensity because they have not developed a stable relationship with their own inner world. The pain you feel is not typical romantic disappointment. It is pain experienced at the level of the self, the deepest part of the psyche, which recognized an opportunity for integration but could not complete it. It feels like a denial of the soul, and in many ways, that is exactly what has occurred. Yet Jung's most important discovery was this: such denial is not an ending, but a beginning. When your twin flame rejects you, you are being pushed to find within yourself what you were seeking externally. This rejection initiates a process of self-discovery you may never have begun otherwise. It becomes the trigger for your deepest transformation. Now that you understand the nature of this connection and the reason for this pain, it is time to explore the 5 stages that follow, each carrying its own challenges and hidden growth. The first stage after rejection is what Jung referred to as ego disintegration. Everything you believed about love, connection, self-worth, and identity begins to collapse. Mystics call this the dark night of the soul, while Jung described it as the breakdown of psychological structures that no longer serve growth. In this stage, you question everything: your feelings, the connection, and even your sanity. You feel isolated, as though the world has moved on while you remain trapped in intensity. The pain becomes physical. You may experience pressure in your chest, shallow breathing, or a hollow sensation that cannot be satisfied. Jung understood that when deep psychological energies are activated and blocked, the body expresses this tension. Every part of you senses that something essential has been lost. You may turn to compulsive behaviors to escape the pain, constantly checking their social media, creating reasons for accidental encounters, or attempting to logically persuade them to return. These actions fail and often increase desperation and shame. Jung noted that during ego disintegration, the persona, the social identity we present to the world, also weakens. Work, relationships, and daily responsibilities begin to suffer. The version of yourself you once relied on no longer feels sufficient. This stage, however, is not illness. It is necessary. Jung's study of alchemy revealed that all real transformation begins with what alchemists called nigredo, the breakdown of the old form so something new can emerge. This disintegration is not destruction, but preparation. The person you were before this encounter could not sustain the level of awareness and integrity now required. That version must dissolve so a more evolved self can develop. The rejection triggered this symbolic death, and the pain you feel is part of that process. During this stage, it is essential not to numb the pain through distractions, substances, or rebound relationships. Jung emphasized that conscious suffering transforms in ways avoided suffering never can. You must move through this darkness, not bypass it. Accept that your previous understanding of love has collapsed. Accept uncertainty. Accept that familiar coping strategies no longer work. This willingness to sit with confusion is the foundation for what comes next. The second stage is obsession, and it is one of the most dangerous. The mind, attempting to regain control, becomes fixated on the person who rejected you. Jung viewed this as an extreme activation of the anima or animus complex. Your psychic energy becomes trapped in a single image. They occupy your thoughts from morning to night. You replay interactions, analyze details, and search for signs that you misunderstood everything. Obsession creates the illusion of closeness while deepening separation. Each thought or fantasy releases small amounts of relief, reinforcing the cycle. Over time, this becomes addictive, requiring increasingly intense mental engagement to feel temporary comfort. Jung observed that obsession disconnects us from present reality. Although you may appear engaged in daily life, psychologically, you exist in a parallel world where reunion feels inevitable. This stage often includes behaviors that are clearly unhealthy when viewed objectively. Monitoring social media becomes routine, reinforcing emotional dependence and prolonging the inner conflict. You may find yourself intentionally passing by places you know they frequent, hoping for an unexpected meeting. You might ask mutual friends about them, searching for any detail that can support fantasies of reunion. During this phase, magical thinking often increases. You start interpreting signs from the universe as confirmation that you are meant to be together. Songs about lasting love, repeating numbers, or dreams involving them begin to feel like proof that fate is working in your favor. Jung acknowledged synchronicities as meaningful, yet he also cautioned against viewing them through the lens of unconscious personal desire. Obsession is frequently paired with intense idealization of the person who rejected you. In your mind, they become flawless, the only one capable of truly understanding and completing you. Their weaknesses fade, and clear incompatibilities are dismissed. You construct a version of them that reflects your own projections rather than their true character. However, Jung understood that obsession is not merely pathological, it serves a psychological purpose. It allows the psyche to maintain contact with deeply activated inner aspects that were awakened through this person. Your unconscious recognizes that something valuable occurred and resists letting it disappear. Release from obsession does not come through suppressing thoughts, but through understanding that what you are searching for in them already exists within you. Jung described this as the withdrawal of projections, the recognition that admired traits in another are undeveloped potentials within yourself. At this stage, it becomes essential to shift your focus. Instead of asking whether they will return, ask what they symbolize for you. Which qualities draw your admiration? What aspects of their presence inspired you? And how can you cultivate those qualities within yourself? Obsession fades when you stop seeking these traits externally and begin embodying them internally. The third stage is marked by deep anger that surfaces once you fully accept that they are not going to change their decision. You realize it was not simply fear or timing, but a deliberate choice. This anger unfolds in several layers, each playing an important role in healing and transformation. The first layer is directed at the person who rejected you. You question how they could overlook your value or choose relationships that seem less meaningful. This anger is often accompanied by a sense of moral superiority, where you view yourself as more emotionally aware or capable of genuine love. Jung understood this response as a defense of the ego against the narcissistic injury caused by rejection. When someone we deeply value rejects us, it challenges our self-image and sense of worth. Anger temporarily protects us by restoring a sense of power. The second layer of anger targets the idea of twin flames itself and the spiritual narratives that suggested destined love always succeeds. You may feel misled by teachings that promised inevitable union. Doubt arises about whether you were naive to believe in such ideals instead of focusing on more realistic connections. The third and most difficult layer of anger turns inward. You feel anger toward yourself for being vulnerable, for believing in the connection, for imagining a future with someone who did not share the same feelings. This self-directed anger often brings shame and the sense that you exposed something deeply personal to someone who did not value it. Jung observed that anger, when experienced consciously rather than suppressed, has transformative power. It supplies the energy needed to break emotional attachments that no longer serve growth, restore boundaries, and reclaim personal authority. Conscious anger is not destructive. It is a force that enables necessary change. During this phase, you may feel urges to confront the person or express everything you feel. These impulses are natural, but Jung warned against acting on them impulsively. Instead, this energy should be redirected into constructive action within your own life. Anger also dissolves romantic illusions that can hinder maturity. Many people spend years searching for a perfect connection that will resolve all emotional needs. The anger triggered by rejection can dismantle this fantasy and encourage a more grounded relationship with oneself. This is often when individuals begin making major life changes, ending stagnant relationships, shifting careers, relocating, seeking therapy, or deepening spiritual practices. When guided properly, anger becomes fuel for growth that was previously postponed. Jung believed that suppressing anger is more harmful than acknowledging it. Repressed anger often turns into depression, long-term resentment, or harmful projection onto others. It is essential during this stage to find healthy outlets for this energy. Physical activity, creative expression, writing, or professional support can provide effective channels. Anger may also activate assertive aspects of your personality that were previously inactive. If you tended to avoid conflict or prioritize harmony over honesty, this stage can help you establish stronger boundaries and protect your needs. When anger is fully experienced without repression or destructive action, it naturally transforms. Energy that was once directed toward changing the other person begins to turn inward. You stop trying to gain their recognition and instead invest in developing your own sense of worth and stability. The fourth stage marks a critical turning point: awakening. This is when you understand, not only intellectually but emotionally, that the rejection occurred not in spite of the connection, but because of it. Jung recognized that profound growth often appears in the form of loss. At this stage, that truth becomes clear. Awakening often follows emotional exhaustion, when you no longer have the energy to maintain obsession, fantasy, or anger. Your psyche stops resisting and becomes open to deeper meaning. You may notice hours passing without thinking of them, experience a revealing dream, or receive a sudden insight that shifts your perspective. During awakening, the entire experience is reframed. Rejection is no longer evidence of unworthiness, but an initiation into a form of growth few people face directly. The person who rejected you was not acting with cruelty or blindness. They were fulfilling a role within a larger psychological process. Jung referred to this as the perspective of the self. When viewed through the lens of individuation, it becomes clear that union may have prevented necessary individual development. The rejection compelled you to turn inward and cultivate the qualities you once sought in them. Awakening also brings the realization that you did not lose your twin flame. Instead, you discovered those qualities within yourself. The traits that inspired love and admiration were reflections of dormant potentials within you. The connection was not solely with them as an external figure, but with parts of yourself that they symbolized. Many people report spiritual insights during this stage. Genuine synchronicities may appear, not driven by obsessive interpretation, but as meaningful patterns guiding your path. Dreams may become more vivid, intuition stronger, and inner clarity deeper. Awakening is often accompanied by a surge of creativity, signaling the integration of previously unconscious energies. The energy that was once trapped in obsession and anger now begins to release itself into creative expression. You may feel a strong urge to write, paint, make music, or engage in any creative activity that allows you to process and integrate what you learned during the earlier stages. Jung viewed creativity as one of the clearest expressions of the individuation process. During awakening, you may also experience genuine gratitude toward the person who rejected you. Not a forced or superficial form of gratitude, but a sincere understanding that they offered you something deeper than a relationship ever could. They compelled you to grow, to understand yourself, and to develop inner qualities that might have remained undeveloped if the path had been easy. You may also notice how this experience reshaped the way you relate to others. Perhaps you feel greater compassion for people experiencing similar pain, or greater clarity in distinguishing authentic connection from emotional projection. You may realize that what you endured gave you something meaningful to offer the world, drawn from the depth of what you lived through and learned. Awakening does not eliminate pain or longing entirely, but it changes their nature. Instead of pain that weakens and diminishes you, it becomes meaningful pain that honors the significance of the experience. It is similar to the difference between an untreated wound and a healed scar. Both leave marks, but one harms while the other represents endurance and growth. At this stage, you may also begin attracting people and opportunities that align with who you have become through this process. Jung observed that when key aspects of individuation are completed, personal energy shifts in ways that naturally draw experiences compatible with a higher level of awareness. The fifth and final stage is integration. This is when you fully incorporate the lessons, insights, and changes from all previous stages into a new way of living. Jung described integration as the ultimate aim of individuation, where fragmented aspects of the psyche unite into a conscious and functional whole. During integration, you do not forget what happened or erase the love you felt. Instead, both evolve into something more refined and expansive. The experience becomes part of your inner wisdom, a reference point that helps you navigate future relationships with greater clarity and emotional maturity. You develop what Jung called conscious love, grounded in genuine recognition rather than unconscious projection. The person you become carries a different energetic presence, marked by inner stability, coherence, and peace that comes from having faced and survived one of life's most challenging experiences. You no longer depend on external validation because you have cultivated a strong internal sense of self-worth. Future relationships feel different because you can now distinguish true connection from projection. You are able to love deeply without losing yourself, to surrender without self-abandonment, and to recognize soul-level bonds without becoming consumed by them. Your capacity for love expands, but it becomes steadier, healthier, and less driven by unconscious need. Jung noted that individuals who undergo deep individuation often develop what he called the transcendent function, the ability to hold opposites and create meaningful synthesis. In relationships, this shows up as the ability to remain whole while connecting deeply, to love without possession, and to commit without losing identity. Integration often awakens a sense of purpose that goes beyond personal fulfillment. You may discover a calling or contribution that is only possible because of the depth of your experience. Many people who walk this path become therapists, counselors, artists, or simply more grounded and supportive friends who can guide others through similar struggles. Integration does not mean you will never experience pain in relationships again. Nor does it make you immune to future rejection. It means you have developed inner resources to face such experiences with awareness and resilience. You know you can survive loss because you already have. You understand that intense experiences carry the potential for transformation when they are embraced rather than avoided. At this stage, many people feel deep gratitude for the entire journey, including the most painful moments. Looking back, they can see how each phase was necessary, how every struggle contributed to growth, and how moments of despair prepared the way for renewal. Integration often brings a shift in how the concept of a twin flame is understood. Rather than something to seek outside yourself, you begin to recognize that the true twin flame is the conscious union of all parts of your own soul. The love you felt for that person reveals itself as love for life, for existence, and for the limitless potential of growth and connection within you. If you have followed this journey to this point, you may recognize aspects of your own experience in these stages. And if you are still in the early phases, know that there is nothing wrong with you. There is no deadline for healing, and you are not meant to suffer indefinitely. Carl Jung taught that life's most painful experiences often carry the most valuable gifts, but only if we have the courage to experience them fully rather than escape them. Your twin flame's rejection is not proof that you are unworthy of love. It is evidence that you were chosen for a path of growth that will shape you into someone capable of loving and being loved in ways you may not yet understand. True love is not about possessing the person who awakens desire. It is about becoming someone who can recognize and honor meaningful connections wherever they appear. Your twin flame may not have chosen you in this lifetime, but they offered you a profound gift. They forced you to discover within yourself everything you were seeking in them. This journey is not easy, and the pain you have felt, or are still feeling, should not be minimized. But trust the process. Trust that a deeper intelligence is at work in your life beyond what you can currently see. Trust that you have the strength to move through this experience and emerge more whole, wiser, and more capable of love than ever before. Remember, you were not rejected by your twin flame. You were chosen by life to realize that the love you were seeking already existed within you, waiting to be acknowledged, developed, and shared with the world in your own unique way. If this video resonated with you, if you recognized your own path in these words, leave a comment saying, "I trust the process." That way, I will know the message reached those who needed it, and that you understand not every rejection is an ending. Some are beginnings in disguise. If you would like to deepen this journey of healing and transformation, I have created 2 ebooks to support you along the way. The first is 21 Days of Transformation with Carl Jung, a practical guide that introduces some of Jung's most effective individuation techniques. Over 21 days, you will work through structured exercises designed to integrate the shadow, engage the unconscious, and transform pain into insight. It is like having Jung as a guide through the process of becoming who you truly are. The second is the Survival Manual for Difficult Days. I know that during twin flame rejection, some days feel especially heavy. This manual offers practical tools grounded in depth psychology to help you navigate the most challenging moments. When loneliness feels overwhelming, when pain intensifies, and when doubt takes over. These tools are meant to support you when you need stability the most. You can find the links in the first comment of the video. Thank you for staying with me until the end, for having the courage to face your pain and transform it into wisdom. What you are experiencing will pass, but the person you are becoming through it will remain. I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.